One of the most influential and admired leaders in Silicon Valley, widely credited as the leader behind Facebook's transformation from a cash-poor social phenomenon to a profitable internet powerhouse. Sheryl Sandberg is consistently ranked near the top of the list of Fortune's most powerful women in business. She served as Google's Vice President of Online Sales and Operations and as Chief of Staff for U.S. Treasury Secretary before joining Facebook. In a broad-ranging interview, her session will explore her leadership at Facebook, her counterintuitive thoughts about gender in the workforce, and poignant insights into resilience from her new book, Option B. Let's give a warm summit welcome to Sheryl Sandberg.
Sheryl, our summit crowd has been looking forward to me interviewing you for a long, long time. And I don't want to waste a minute, so with your permission, I'd like to jump right in.
Well, thank you for having me. And as I told you, I read the Willow Creek case study in business school in 1993. So this has been a long time coming for me as well. And I'm super grateful to be with all of you.
Well, thanks again.
At the age of 31, Asia Brown made history as the youngest elected mayor of Compton, California. A national trailblazer, her vision focused on family values, quality of life, economic development, and infrastructural growth. Brown started a gang reduction and intervention initiative, resulting in a record low for homicides in over 2 decades. She also reduced the unemployment rate by 50%, while successfully attracting new companies and employment to the city. By making these major strides in her first term, she was overwhelmingly re-elected to a second 4-year term in 2017. As a strong advocate for youth, women's rights and equality, Mayor Brown has received a number of honors, including the National Action Network Martin Luther King Award, as well as the esteemed John F. Kennedy New Frontier Award. Please give a warm summit welcome to Mayor Asia Brown.
It's such an honor to be here today, and we're all here in the audience tuning in from campuses around the world because regardless of where we've come from or where we are, we're all dedicated to making a difference. We're committed to shaking things up. We've decided, to be a force for change. We
are excited to welcome back another summit favorite, Marcus Buckingham. His best-selling books, First, Break All the Rules, and Now Discover Your Strengths, started the strengths revolution in business, uncovering the truth that high performance and employee engagement peaks when employees are empowered to work in their areas of strength. Buckingham's latest multi-year research project, recently featured in Harvard Business Review, will challenge leaders to go a step further and reinvent their processes in performance management. Let's welcome back Marcus Buckingham.
I'm actually here as a researcher today. I'm a researcher by training, I'm a researcher by disposition, and I'm a strengths-based researcher, which basically means that my point of view, my approach would be if we want to learn about excellence, we should study excellence. If you want to learn about what great leaders look like, you should study, great leaders.
Known for his mental toughness, grit, perseverance, and leadership, Bear Grylls is the embodiment of adventure. A former member of the British Special Forces, Bear went on to become one of the youngest to climb Mount Everest, despite breaking his back in a free-fall accident only months earlier. Winner of 2 BAFTAs, his Emmy-nominated TV show Man vs. Wild was one of the most watched programs in the world, with an estimated audience of 1.2 billion. He also hosts National Geographic's hit series Running Wild, as well as groundbreaking series on Netflix and Amazon. A dedicated family man, Bear is honorary colonel to the Royal Marine Commandos and the youngest ever chief scout and ambassador to 50 million scouts worldwide. He is a best-selling author, having sold more than 18 million books, including his autobiography, Mud, Sweat and Tears, and his first book on faith, titled Soul Fuel. Joining us via video from the Swiss Alps, please welcome Bear Grylls.
It's such a great privilege to be with you guys at the Global Leadership Summit. And really what you do is amazing. You know, such a strong, kind, positive influence to many millions of people around the world. And really, I'm so full of admiration for all that you stand for. And I really wish I could be with you in person, but right now I'm away filming. But I really wanted to make time to share some truths with you.
Bozoma St. John is Chief Marketing Officer for Endeavour, a global leader in entertainment, sports and fashion operating in more than 30 countries. Over the course of her career, St. John has earned a formidable reputation as a trailblazing executive. She most recently served as Chief Brand Officer for Uber and also as Head of Global Consumer Marketing for Apple Music and iTunes. For her innovative work, St. John has been recognised as Executive of the Year by Billboard magazine, as well as featured on Fortune's Disruptors, Innovators and Stars 40 Under 40. She has also been listed among Black Enterprise's most powerful women in business and Fast Company's 100 most creative people. Please welcome Bozoma St. John, interviewed by Paula Faris.
Let me ask you first, how important is a healthy and thriving culture to the success of a business, to an organization, to a church, to a hospital, to a school?
Yeah, well, I think the easy answer, and we probably all know that, is that yes, of course, it's very important. Where we get lost is in thinking where the culture begins. We often think that it happens in the employee handbook or from the CEO's office.
It doesn't happen in the employee handbook?
It sure doesn't, no.
Okay.
Try reading it.
Okay.
On page 684, you'll find the rules
handbook.
for a healthy culture.
We are thrilled to welcome back our good friend, the founder and CEO of International Justice Mission, Gary Haugen. He is a former human rights attorney with the U.S. Department of Justice and a leader in the global anti-slavery movement. Under his leadership, IJM serves thousands of victims globally, partnering with law enforcement, bringing criminals to justice, and restoring hope for survivors. He is the author of 3 books, and his work has been featured in Foreign Affairs, the New York Times, and Forbes magazine. Haugen is the recipient of numerous awards and has received the highest honor given for anti-slavery leadership from the U.S. State Department. Let's welcome back our good friend, Gary Haugen, to the summit.
All the finest leadership training in the world can be completely rendered useless by fear.
A 24-year veteran of the FBI, Chris Voss was the lead international kidnapping negotiator and was trained not only by the FBI, but by Scotland Yard and Harvard Law School. He is founder and CEO of the Black Swan Group, a company which draws on Chris's experience in high-stakes negotiations to teach how to accelerate business negotiation outcomes with tactical empathy. Named by Inc.com as one of the 7 best books on negotiation ever written, Voss's national best-selling book, Never Split the Difference, debunks the biggest myths of negotiations and provides useful strategies for leading in the workplace, as well as in everyday life. He's been featured in Time, Business Insider, Entrepreneur, Fast Company, Fortune, The Washington Post, CNN, ABC News, and more. Welcome, Chris Voss, interviewed by Paula Faris.
Welcome, everybody. What a treat. Hello to our global audience. Hello to everybody watching from our host sites. Chris, I have a confession. I'm excited to interview, but I'm a little terrified because of your extensive work with the FBI. I just need you to look in the camera and promise everyone that you're not going to issue some sort of Jedi mind trick on us today.
I promise.
From secretary to CEO to Senate candidate, Carly Fiorina is one of the most recognizable leaders in America today. She began her career as a secretary and 20 years later became the first woman to lead a Fortune 50 company. Under her leadership, the company doubled in revenue, generated 11 patents per day, and led the market for all of its product categories. Carly's leadership insights emanate from a distinctive, thoughtful, yet practical point of view. She's gone on to leverage her skill and experience as an innovator in the nonprofit realm, a best-selling author, a political commentator, and a business strategy expert. Let's welcome Carly Fiorina back to the summit stage.
Good morning. Good morning. It's so wonderful to be back here at Willow and at the Leadership Summit. You know, every time I hear an intro like that, it's, of course, very gracious, but it all sounds sort of smooth.
Devon Franklin is an award-winning Hollywood producer, New York Times best-selling author, and spiritual success coach. He is CEO of the multimedia production company Franklin Entertainment and has produced the hit films Miracles from Heaven, The Star, and Breakthrough. Named one of the top 10 producers to watch by Variety magazine, Devon is dedicated to empowering the masses through entertainment. He's the author of multiple best-selling books, including The Truth About Men, The Success Commandments, and The Weight, co-written with his wife, actress Megan Good. Please welcome Devon to the summit.
Let me tell you, I am so honored and inspired to be here today. One of the reasons why I wanted to be here, because I believe that there is a key to leadership that most of us, and I'm saying us, I'm not talking to you, I'm gonna talk with you during this session. Most of us struggle with. And here's what we struggle with. We struggle with our difference.
Alan Mulally served as president and CEO of the Ford Motor Company from September 2006 to June 2014, where he worked on creating a compelling vision, comprehensive strategy, and implementation of the One Ford plan, a plan based on focus, teamwork, and a common definition of success. Through this plan, Alan led Ford's transformation into one of the world's leading auto companies and the #1 automobile brand in the United States, returning it to profitability and changing the way the organization works. Prior to joining Ford, Mulally drew on his educational experience in aeronautical and astronautical engineering to serve as executive vice president of the Boeing Company, president and CEO of Boeing Commercial Airplanes, and president of Boeing Information, Space, and Defense Systems. Throughout his career, Mulally has been recognized for his contributions, industry leadership, and service. He has been named #3 on Fortune's list of the world's greatest leaders, twice named one of Time's 100 most influential people in the world, and Chief Executive's 2011 Chief Executive of the Year. Mulally serves on President Obama's United States Export Council, and in July 2014 was named to Google's board of directors. Please welcome Alan Mulally.
As an aeronautical engineer, I found my first service and love in commercial airplanes. And I joined Boeing in 1969, and I had a chance to serve on the design team of every Boeing airplane: the 707, the 727, the 737, the 747, the 757, the 767. And also, I was a chief engineer and the director of engineering and the program manager on the 777. And then proceeded over the launch of the 787.
Positioning himself as an arms dealer for the creative revolution, Todd Henry teaches leaders and organizations how to establish practices that lead to everyday brilliance. The Accidental Creative podcast, with millions of downloads, delivers weekly tips and ideas for staying prolific, brilliant, and healthy. Todd believes that inspiration has a very short shelf life without application, so his talks include concrete practices. He is the author of 4 books, which have been translated into more than a dozen languages. Todd's latest book, Herding Tigers, is a practical handbook for every manager charged with leading teams to creative brilliance. Let's welcome Todd Henry.
Well, hello, my brilliant friends. One thing I know for certain on this planet is that heat combined with humidity will cause you to make some of the worst decisions of your life. And the particular situation I have in mind was a couple of years ago, my family and I made a trip to Disney World in Orlando, Florida, and it was really hot, and the terrible decision was choosing to go into a gift shop. Now, I don't know about you, but I tend to avoid gift shops at all costs. I think they're designed solely for the purpose of grabbing me by the ankles and shaking me upside down to see what kind of money I have left in my pockets. But on this day, it was hot, so we went in. My family was strolling the aisles, and I look up and I happen to see what I have since come to refer to as the perfect t-shirt.
Melinda Gates is one of the best-known, most admired women in the world. As co-chair of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Melinda feels a special call to serve those who have no voice in society. She describes her philanthropy as faith in action, and that faith expresses itself in love of neighbor. Melinda grew up in Dallas, Texas, and attended Ursuline Academy, an all-girls Catholic school that emphasized a life of service. As a high school student, Melinda remembers tutoring underprivileged children in a nearby public school, where she confronted the heartbreaking reality that, as she put it, a short stretch of road separated the kids who were getting ahead from the kids who were falling behind. Melinda graduated from Duke University, where she earned degrees in computer science and business, and in 1987 joined Microsoft as the youngest new hire and the only woman in its first class of MBAs. When she left a decade later with the birth of her first daughter, Melinda was general manager of information products, overseeing 300 employees. In the early 1990s, Melinda and Bill took a trip to Africa that gave them their first sustained look at extreme poverty. It is this trip that would inspire them to make philanthropy the cause of their lives, and have agreed that the principle all lives have equal value would form the moral core of their giving. And so, the Gates Foundation focuses globally on fighting poverty and disease, and domestically on improving public education. Melinda is an outspoken advocate for women and girls, and forms a special bond with the mothers she meets in developing countries. She says there is no difference in what we want for our children. The only difference is in our ability to give it to them. Please welcome Melinda Gates to the summit.
Melinda, we can't thank you enough for taking time out of a very busy life to spend a few minutes with us today. I've admired you from afar for a long, long time, admired your leadership, your vision, your compassion for people, and the fact that you've been blessed with a lot of resources, and you don't just take that all for yourself and your family, and you've given back to the world. So again, let's welcome Melinda Gates to the crowd here.
Thank you. That's really kind, and I was so grateful that you were able to stop by Seattle last month, you and Lynn, and we got to talk a little bit about the work that the Foundation's doing before coming to this large gathering, which was really terrific.
It was, and I'll get into the specifics of that later, but
Jason Dorsey is president of the Center for Generational Kinetics, a global research and speaking firm that delivers original research which separates generational myth from truth for leaders around the world. Their team has helped leaders reposition global brands to win each generation and taken clients from last to first in both employee retention and customer growth. Considered an authority on Gen Z and millennials, as well as the #1 generation speaker and researcher, Jason delivers research-based insight and specific practical solutions for leaders to drive tangible results. Jason wrote his first best-selling book at the age of 18 and has been featured on over 200 television shows, including 60 Minutes and The Today Show. Please welcome Jason Dorsey.
Woo! Thank you. This is going to be a very different kind of presentation. I need your help. How many of you on a daily basis interact with people of different ages? Would you raise your hand? Let's do this all over there. Wait, raise your hand. There you go. And how many of you have had a conversation with someone of a different age? And it was very, very, very important. At the end of that conversation, you knew when they walked away, they had no idea what you just told them. Raise your hand.
What is the secret to outstanding achievement? Intelligence? Talent? After conducting extensive research in psychology and neuroscience, Dr. Angela Duckworth discovered that the secret to success results from a special blend of passion and persistence she calls grit. Duckworth studied advanced neurobiology at Harvard. received a master's in neuroscience from Oxford and a PhD from the University of Pennsylvania. Before entering academia, her work experience included serving as a McKinsey management consultant and a science teacher in the New York public schools. Her current work in GRIT has led to consulting relationships with NBA and NFL teams, as well as the U.S. government and the World Bank. Please give a warm summit welcome for Angela Duckworth.
So it's truly an honor for me to be here in person and share a little bit of my story, how I came to study grit, what I think it is, how I think we can develop it in every single one of us.
As chairman and CEO of one of the world's most respected companies, Jeffrey Immelt has positioned General Electric as a leading technology company moving into the global landscape of the future. Named one of the world's best CEOs by Barron's 3 times, Jeff was born and raised in the culture of this legendary company, his father working at GE's Aircraft Engines division in Cincinnati, Ohio for 38 years. After receiving his Harvard MBA, Jeff quickly rose through the ranks of GE. In 2001, he officially took the reins as chairman and CEO. In the tumultuous years since taking the helm, Jeff has prepared GE for the uncertain future with his global outlook, focus on people development, and emphasis on innovation. Jeff's vision extends to America's future as well, serving as chair on President Obama's Council on Jobs and Competitiveness during Obama's first term. Please give Jeffrey Immelt a warm welcome.
Thanks, Scott.
Not quite that much.
But I mean, a huge acquisition. And how do you decide who you empower to make deals when they kind of just go do them themselves? You've been flying back and forth to France for the last month. And when do you empower someone to just go make a big deal? Or when do you say, hey, you know what, I need to be at the table myself?
So I think, Bill, it's a great question. You know, we've got a great team at GE. People can see things strategically. The business people kind of lead that process.
The quiet revolution has begun. Author of the book Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking, Susan Cain has single-handedly catalyzed a movement to rethink the way we value the introverted leaders among us. A self-proclaimed introvert, Susan's journey from the raucous world of Wall Street to best-selling author mirrors the message of her book. Introverts shouldn't have to pretend to be extroverted. She asserts that the workplace must learn to embrace quiet leaders' innate strengths. Her research even shows that introverted leaders often deliver better results, but that their strengths can get lost in our culture of charisma. Susan's book has risen to the New York Times bestsellers list, and her TED Talk has garnered several million views to date. Please welcome Susan Cain.
I'm here today because I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you how this quiet revolution has begun. And I'm going to start by telling you about the time that I went to summer camp at the age of 9.